Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. I met her at my flat door wearing a sports shirt and pants, a little scared, but the beautiful smile on her face when she walked in made me feel better. I had a simple dinner cooking on the stove and a salad to go with it. Based on the last thing she bought, I had a drink ready for her that night and gave it to her. Maybe you shouldn't have worn a tie, but why didn't you get dressed for me? It was simple to answer that question. I thought you would want to see how I do things from the start, and then you can tell what you think. There's no doubt about it, Paul. You look great. I'm only a few years older than you, and I'll be graduating from law school. You work full-time and are on your own, so we are both adults with our own thoughts. Even though we just met yesterday, it seemed like we hit it off right away, didn't it? Oh my God, she was right again. So let's avoid any possible shame by doing this. She got close to me, put her hands on my face, and kissed me. Let's look at your other self. What do you call yourself when you dress like a girl? She asked. That detail guy was letting me down again. I don't know, I guess Paula would be the best choice. There's that chance, but I don't like it. I saw how you dressed, and you need something softer. What about Pauline? She suggested. She did it again, and this time it sounded great. I smiled at her and said, we are one Francine and one Pauline sometimes. It didn't take me long to show her my secret cabinet. In less than 5 minutes, she had everything it took me so long to get spread out on the dining room table and the living room floor. I had never heard so many ums and ahs, so I laughed. She smiled and said, I know you don't think you have a lot of hair, but wait until you shave and feel how things feel. We need to get you to wear only one pair of nylons. I had no idea what she was talking about, but I didn't say anything. I didn't have that much body hair, and even at my age, I could shave my face 2 or 3 times a week. As I used the razor in the tub, I thought maybe it was because of my genes that I didn't have hair and why I felt the way I did. I had a towel around my waist when I came out of the bathroom. Francine said we should really start over, and by that she meant my toe and fingernails. She told me to file my nails so they were straight across. As a man, I could get away with them being longer if they weren't round. Also, Pauline wore some clear, good nail polish, and the larger surface meant more color, so they would look very girly. That made sense, and I was happy to just sit there as she smoothed them out with an emery board and then, with a frown, lined up the few lip glosses and nail polish boxes I had. Check it out. You don't have 2 that go together. I stood in the middle of the room in just underwear while she took measurements and wrote down some things. When she was done, the pants were a little wonky. She smiled and said it was nice, but I would have to wait. She decided she had to go shopping in the morning. Shopping the next day taught me a lot and made me laugh at the same time. I got a lot of looks as Francine dragged me from store to store. The staff felt sorry for her because they saw her boyfriend being towed around looking embarrassed as she shopped. They should have known she was getting all of those things for me. There were only a few inches of difference in height between our sizes, which were pretty close. She also bought lipstick and nail paint that matched in more toned-down colors. The reason given was that bright reds were fine if you didn't mean to draw attention to them, but we did. She told me I had great legs and that I should get used to wearing and showing them off with heels, which made me think about how I should have gone about buying them. I didn't need to worry. Marie Francine told the cashier that her sister's birthday was coming up and she gave her a pair of shoes as a gift. She knew the size, but could she bring them back and swap them if needed? No trouble at all, and Pauline had a new pair of pumps with 4-inch heels in 10 minutes. After lunch, which was my treat, we went to Francine's house so she could drop off her car. Then she kissed me and said, let's go find the new, better version of Pauline at your place. Pauline, stop working on it. You shouldn't be. When you're dressed that way, you should feel like Pauline. Put her on and carry her around with you while you dress. Feel her instead of working at her. Francine was sitting in my living room across from me. I was dressed in a pale yellow linen suit with a knee-length skirt and a 3-button jacket. My blouse had a high neck with a frill, and my feet were in white pumps with 3-inch heels. It had been a few weeks since we met, and I had done better with her help. She put my shoulder-length wig in place and combed it to frame my face. Then she put on a pair of yellow button earrings that matched. Because she went shopping with me, my toenails matched my lipstick. My toenails were also done, but you couldn't see them because I was wearing shoes. It did work. She was right. I should have felt like Pauline, but I didn't. Even though I felt great and looked great in these clothes, I was still Paul inside, acting like I thought Pauline would. It was clear that Francine was getting frustrated with me. She said, "I think I know what's wrong. Pauline, you've only been around for a few hours at most. When he got dressed, even my brother spent the whole weekend as his alter ego. When you're around, Paul can never get lost and let Pauline take over. You deserve some vacation time, and I'll have 10 days off in about a week. I think we should give Pauline a real chance during that time." That's how it happened. A few nights before our trip, we put all of Pauline's things in bags and took them to Francine's house. The night before the trip, Paul sneaked into Francine's house. For the sake of the neighbors, Francine's sister came to visit the next morning. It was heaven for a few days, and as Pauline, I slowly started to relax. I became more feminine as time went on because I didn't have to worry about switching between characters all the time. Any awkwardness went away, and with Francine's constant gentle prodding, naturalness grew. We went outside a few times to do normal things like food shopping. I wore jeans, low-heeled ankle boots, and a turtleneck sweater for those times. The power pants did their job in keeping things in check. They were a very good mistake. My clearly feminine shape was emphasized by a light-belted leather jacket, and my makeup was simple. Anyone who looked at us knew for sure that we were women and had no reason to doubt our gender. From the time I woke up in the morning as Pauline until late at night every day, everything was girly. Francine gave me a special cologne that I always put on first thing in the morning after I showered. I always thought of lilacs when I smelled that soft, flowery scent, which reminded me that Pauline had taken Paul's place, at least for now. As a confident Pauline, I chose to thank Francine one afternoon and went into the room where they had put all of her things for an hour. What I was going to wear and how I was going to do my hair and makeup were both very important to me. I wore a cotton blouse tucked into a knee-length denim skirt and a denim jacket over top. Then I put on a pair of low-heeled shoes. Next came the collar and earrings that matched, and I made sure that her ponytail fell nicely down her neck. We chose to go on a trip to a different town about 40 miles away the next day and just walk, talk, and look at the shops. We dressed alike for the day because we were meant to be sisters. It was early fall, so it wasn't too cold, so we chose long-sleeved wool dresses with knee-length flared skirts and high collars. Mine was dark blue and Francine's was red. Francine styled her hair to match my best wig, and we both chose necklaces and earrings that complemented our dresses. Francine gave me a pedicure and did my makeup while my nails dried. Comfortable ankle boots with 3-inch heels were on our feet, and shoulder bag purses finished off our looks. It took us a little more than an hour to get there in Francine's car. We parked at one end of the main street of the town and slowly walked down it, looking at shops along the way. It was great. I felt so at ease, feminine and calm, that I was in a world very different from Paul's. As Francine talked, I laughed quietly in her ear as we walked along. After a while of walking, the sky started to get cloudy. It began to rain lightly at first, but it was supposed to get harder before we got back to the car. When Francine saw a cheap department store, she dragged me across the street and into it. The racks were full of cheap, clear plastic raincoats with belts and hoods. We got them along with an umbrella. We put on our coats while standing in the hallway. Once the belts were tightened, Francine showed me how to pull the hood up without messing up my hair by reaching back and putting one hand on each side of my head. We walked back up the street to the car with the umbrella up. We put our arms around each other's waists, and soon we were laughing like schoolgirls. Francine stopped outside of a restaurant as the rain got worse and said, "That last rumble wasn't thunder, it was my stomach." She then said, "Let's have lunch and hope the rain stops." Inside the fancy restaurant, our coats and umbrella were checked, and then we were shown to a table by the window. The waitress came over after giving us time to look over the menu. Francine told her what she wanted and then added, "And my sister will have..." I have no idea where the voice came from, but it was clear and it was female and light. It said, "Her sister will order for herself and would like..." When I was done ordering and handed the menu back to the waitress, I turned and saw Francine with a big smile on her face. Francine reached across the table and grabbed my hands. "Hi, sis! Welcome to my world!" You would think that after hearing that Pauline had found her voice, we would have been talking like schoolgirls. That wasn't the case, though. We did talk during the rest of lunch and as we put on our raincoats and walked back to the car, but there was a heavy silence when we got inside. Francine focused on driving in the bad weather, and I got lost in my own thoughts. It seems like both of us knew we were at a dangerous crossroads that neither of us had seen coming. We were at a point in our relationship where we had to make choices that would have long-lasting effects on our lives. Both Pauline and I knew that I, Paul, had to make a choice because Pauline was now a whole person who could go anywhere. Later, Francine told me that she knew she had to do what she could to make sure the choice was mine, but she loved me in both forms. Once we were safe at home, we changed in our rooms. It was clear that Francine was a little confused when I walked into the living room in a white dress while she had dressed for comfort in pants and a sweater. The skirt spread out to just below the knee, and the bodice was tight with a high collar that I wore with a thin red ribbon around my neck. The sleeves were puffy up to the elbow and then tight around the wrist. I wore high heels and a wide red leather belt that matched the ribbon around my neck. I paid extra attention to my makeup, and there wasn't a hair out of place on my head. I put down a tray with 2 glasses, a bottle of wine, a paper, and a pencil on the coffee table next to Francine as I sat down. "Shouldn't we talk?" I asked. "Yes," Francine said, "because we have 3 whole people but only 2 bodies. And they could all get hurt badly if we don't do things right." She continued, "We now know for sure that Pauline can't work part-time. She can only be fully functional when she's here 24 hours a day. So what does that mean for Paul?" After slowly pouring each of us a glass of wine, I spoke with a level of passion and sincerity that I had never felt before. Francine had never seen such a serious side to me, even though we had been through a lot together. I brought the paper because I thought making a list of what each of us 3 needs or wants might help, but I already know what I want, so no list will help me. I love how I look and how I live so much. It seems so normal and right. You made Pauline whole again, and I will always be grateful to you for that. We have a problem, though. Both Paul and Pauline love you." My eyes left her beautiful face to look at the still full wine glass in my hands. The glass's surface was shaking, and I couldn't help but notice it. When I turned around, I saw Francine staring at me with tears slowly running down her face. "I love both of you, and I won't pick. Is there no way for us to have the best of both worlds? We need to come up with an answer, please." After hours, we did come up with a plan that we both agreed to carry out. We hoped it would work, and if it did, everything would be fine and we would have found the answer. The next morning, Pauline and I put her away, and Paul came back. We both had a lot going on over the next few weeks. I gave the minimum notice to end my apartment lease, and I also quit my job at the computer company with 60 days to go. Francine sped through school and graduated from law school on time. She then put the house on the market, and it sold in just 1 week. We chose a big city about 500 miles away, and Francine sent job applications to several law firms. 2 of them offered her jobs. She called a real estate agent and told them what kind of house we were looking for when she came to confirm the offer she had accepted. After doing everything, we got married in a small formal ceremony. After that, we packed up everything and sent it to our new home. But it was 2 sisters who moved in after their honeymoon. Francine did very well as a lawyer, and as Pauline, my home-based computer writing business grew. "Did you try out my new lip gloss? Where is my new underwear?" There were never any major issues with the plan, though, and we always made up. When Francine was feeling good, she would sometimes ask Paul to join her in the bed. He was only there for about an hour, so it never got in the way of Pauline. This met the needs of all 3 of us. And it goes without saying that love can solve all of life's issues sometimes. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.